Sometimes, the past doesn't just knock, it corners you in a parking lot, begging and crying, trying to rewrite history. That's exactly what happened to me, about a year and a half after everything changed. My mother and sister were there, outside my office, waiting for me. My mother's face was blotchy, tears already streaking her mascara, and my sister, Ashley, looked just as rough. They started in on me right there, about how hard their lives were, how they were losing everything, how I was destroying our family. To understand why they were pleading with me like that, why they were talking about mistakes, you have to go back. Back to a diagnosis, a dream, and a debt that stretched back years. I'm Daniel, 32, a project manager in Nashville. I've worked hard, clawed my way up from install crews, and I do pretty well for myself, earning around $100,000 in a good year. I'm not financially clueless. My dad, Robert, was a construction sales guy, absolutely crushing it for decades. But then March 2020 hit, and his whole industry just stopped. Projects canceled, budgets frozen, companies folding. He went from top performer to struggling. My mom, Carol, she's a different story. Never held steady work. Always an excuse. Now, it's this candle business that somehow costs more than it makes. 12 sales in 2 years. She buys supplies like she's about to crack some secret algorithm. 4 years ago, their landlord sold their rental house. Robert came to me, alone, without Carol knowing. He met me for coffee, looking more uncomfortable than I'd ever seen him. "Son," he said, "I hate asking, but we're in a bad spot. Your mother, she'd rather sleep in the car than ask for help." I had the foresight to buy a 2-bedroom condo back in 2018. Nothing fancy, just solid. I'd been renting it out to cover the mortgage while I lived with my girlfriend. I told Robert they could move in for $800 a month, about a third of market rate. My mortgage and HOA were over $1,700, so I was effectively eating $900 every month just to keep them housed. Robert was so grateful. He promised they'd get stable and either start paying market rate or find their own place within a year. Carol's reaction, when Robert told her, "Well, it's the least he can do after how we struggled to raise him." Pure entitlement. Like I owed them housing for existing. Fast forward to now, and that rent money shows up maybe 60% of the time. I've documented everything. They've shorted me roughly $15,000 over 4 years. My sister, Ashley, moved in about 2 years ago. She's 26, got a degree she barely uses, and she burns through money like it's going out of style. She makes maybe $40,000 but spends like $120,000. Anytime I brought up missing rent, Carol would hit me with the family guilt trip. "We're not some corporation. Why are you nickel and diming us?" Meanwhile, they never missed payments on their new SUV. Carol once told me they couldn't afford rent because they had to cover Ashley's spa day. Had to. Like it was a utility bill. I remember my senior year, Ashley totaled her car driving impaired after a party. Carol paid a $2,500 deductible, hired a $5,000 lawyer, got the charges reduced to reckless driving. A mistake, Carol said, she was stressed about finals. That same semester, I asked to borrow $500 for textbooks. Carol said I needed to learn financial responsibility. Last year, I drove over unannounced one Saturday afternoon and found them hosting a full barbecue. 20 people, music thumping, a new 75-inch TV in the living room. And here's the kicker, they'd finished a kitchen remodel, granite countertops, new backsplash, stainless appliances, in my property without asking. When I pulled Carol aside about the 3 months of back rent they owed, she whispered, "Not now. We have guests." Like I was the rude one for bringing up their debt at their party in my condo. Robert found me in the hallway after. "Son, I didn't know about the remodel until it was done. She maxed out a credit card I didn't know she had. I'm sorry. I told her we needed to pay you first. She said you could wait." He looked tired, defeated. I set a boundary about lending money after that. Carol didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. Robert called every few days, apologizing for her behavior. Then Ashley's boyfriend, Kyle, started practically living there about 6 months ago. Using my labeled food from the fridge. Parking in my reserved spot. When I noticed he'd been there 5 nights straight, I called Robert. "Yeah, he's been around a lot," Robert said, sounding exhausted. "Your mother invited him to stay temporarily while he gets his business off the ground. I told her to ask you first since it's your property. She said you'd be fine with it." I drove over the next day. Walked in. Found Kyle on my couch, in boxer shorts, playing video games at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. "Where's everyone else?" I asked. "Work," he said, not looking up. "Ashley said I could chill here. Better Wi-Fi than my place." "You don't live here," I said. "Bro, relax. It's just temporary." I called a family meeting that night. Carol, Robert, Ashley, Kyle, all sitting in my living room that they'd been treating like their personal clubhouse. "Kyle doesn't live here," I said. "He's not on any lease. He's not paying rent, and he needs to leave." Carol jumped in immediately. "He's Ashley's boyfriend. He's practically family. Why are you being so territorial?" "Because it's my property, and I didn't agree to have him living here." Kyle tried his diplomatic voice. "Look, man, I'm just here helping Ashley out, contributing where I can." "You're not contributing anything. You're eating my food, using my parking spot, and lounging around during business hours when you're supposed to be building your empire." Ashley started crying. "You're being cruel. Kyle's going through a tough time financially, and we're just trying to help him get back on his feet." "Not my problem," I said. "He's an unauthorized occupant. I'm serving notice to vacate for a lease violation. Either Kyle's gone in 7 days, or I start eviction proceedings against all of you." I'd already looked into it. Tennessee law was clear. I had the notice typed up, dated, ready. Carol's face went red. "You can't just kick him out. Where's he supposed to go?" "Literally anywhere that isn't my property. 7 days to fix this. After that, I file with the court." Robert spoke up then, quiet but firm. "He's right. Kyle's not on the lease. This is his property. We should have asked permission." Carol turned on him. "Don't you dare take his side right now." "I'm not taking sides. I'm stating facts. This is wrong, and you know it." Kyle stood up, trying to look tough. "This is crazy. I've been nothing but respectful." "You're a freeloader wearing my son's generosity like a jacket," Robert said, standing up too. "Pack your stuff." Kyle was gone in 5 days. Ashley didn't speak to me for a month. Carol sent passive-aggressive texts about family unity. Robert called me the day Kyle moved out. "Thank you for standing your ground. That needed to happen. Your mother's been enabling that kid and draining Ashley's bank account to support him. Maybe this will wake them both up." It didn't. But it showed me where Robert actually stood when it mattered. Then, March this year, Robert got the diagnosis. Pancreatic cancer, stage 3. The oncologist, a tired-looking woman, gave him the numbers straight. 6 to 12 months without treatment, maybe 18 to 24 with aggressive chemo. Robert just sat there in that sterile exam room, nodding. Carol was crying. I was trying to process what 6 to 12 months actually meant. The doctor kept going. "If there's anything you want to do, anywhere you want to see, I'd recommend doing it before treatment starts in early August. You'll have your strength now. Once we start chemo, travel's going to be difficult." Robert had this coffee table book about Norway he'd kept for 20 years. Mountains, fjords, glaciers, landscapes that make Tennessee look like a parking lot. He'd flip through it constantly, explaining the geological formations, the engineering challenges. For him, it wasn't just tourism. It was seeing what humans could build in impossible places. The doctor's timeline hit different after that diagnosis. This wasn't someday. This was literally now or never. I spent 3 weeks researching everything. Built a detailed itinerary. I'd been hoarding points and miles for years. Retail price for everything would have been $54,000. But between points and strategic booking, I got it down to about $22,000 out of pocket. Still a massive hit, but manageable. I booked business class because Robert couldn't handle economy for 14 hours, not with cancer eating away at him. 4-star hotel in Bergen. A Garangerfjord cruise. A helicopter glacier tour. Guided hikes that accommodated his reduced stamina. Flexible rates, because his health could tank at any moment. I announced it at Sunday dinner. Had the itinerary printed out, hotel confirmations, everything organized. Robert actually cried. He grabbed my hand with this grip that was already weaker than it used to be and said, "I never thought I'd actually get to see it, especially not now." Carol's reaction was different. She immediately started flipping through the itinerary, counting. "This is just for 2 people. What about me and Ashley?" "It's a father-son trip," I said. "For Robert's bucket list before treatment starts." Her face changed. That look I'd seen 1,000 times. The one that meant I'd committed some unforgivable offense. "So, you're just going to leave us here while you two go on some expensive vacation? That's incredibly selfish. Your father's sick. This should be a family moment." "He's doing something generous for me," Robert said, his voice firm but tired. "Don't twist this into something ugly." "I'm not twisting anything. I'm pointing out that he's excluding his own mother and sister from what might be his father's last trip." That last part hit like a brick. She'd weaponized his mortality in one sentence. "It's not a family trip," Robert said, louder now. "It's my bucket list trip that my son is paying for. You don't get to invite yourself." The table went quiet. I'd never heard Robert shut her down like that. Carol's eyes narrowed. "Fine. I see where I stand." She got up and left the table. Ashley followed her, shooting me a glare. Robert and I sat there in silence. Then he said, "Thank you for all of this. She's going to make this difficult." "Probably," I said, "but this is between you and me. She doesn't get a vote." For about 3 days, it held. Robert and I planned details, talked about what we wanted to see. Then Carol started the campaign. First, the silent treatment. Then comments at every family gathering. "Must be nice to afford expensive vacations while your parents struggle with medical bills." Some sons include their whole family in what might be their father's final memories. "I guess I know who matters and who doesn't." Robert pushed back every time. "Stop it. He's doing something kind. Don't poison it." But Carol had Ashley working the same angle. Texts, calls, social media posts about family unity. One night, Ashley posted a long Instagram story about feeling excluded by people who should love you most, with sad music and everything. Then, Robert got quiet. I noticed it during one of our planning sessions. He seemed distracted, stressed, physically more worn down. Finally, he said, "Your mother's been on me every day about this trip, telling me I'm choosing you over her, that I'm a bad husband for going along with excluding her when I'm dying. She's making my life miserable." There it was. The mortality card, weaponized daily. "You want to cancel?" I asked. "No, but I also don't want to spend what might be my last few good months listening to her weaponize this every single day." He paused, looked exhausted. What if we invited them, just to stop the war at home? I looked at him. You really want them there? Yes, son. It would be better. It'll cost more, I said. Maybe another $16,000 out of pocket after using what points I have left. I know, and it's not fair to ask, but I'm asking anyway. I said yes. Extended the booking for all four of us. Between points and cash, the total out-of-pocket hit about $38,000. More than half my annual take-home after taxes. 3 weeks before departure, Ashley brought up Kyle at Sunday dinner. So, Kyle's really interested in Norway. He's been researching the startup scene in Oslo. I didn't even look up from my plate. Good for Kyle. I was thinking, she continued, it would be amazing if he could come. He's basically family anyway. No, I said. Budget's maxed. Carol jumped in. But honey, Kyle's going to be part of this family soon. Don't you want your father to have everyone important there? This might be his last chance to make memories with all of us. Robert's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. The hand holding it was shaking slightly. Side effect from the cancer, or just exhaustion? Hard to tell. Nobody asked me if I want Kyle there. I don't. Carol shot him a look. Dad, I don't want him there, Robert repeated, louder. This is already more people than I planned for. I wanted a trip with my son. Now it's 4 of us. That's the line. Kyle could pay his own way, Ashley offered, her voice defensive. Then Kyle can book his own trip, I said. This one's full. When I said he should pay his own way, that micro-expression on his face told me everything about his bank account. For weeks before departure, Robert called me at work. His voice was different. Tight, anxious, the way it got when something was seriously wrong. Son, I need you to come to the house right now. Don't tell them I called. 20 minutes later, I was parked down the street. Robert met me at the corner, looking over his shoulder. They're planning something, he said. Something bad. What kind of bad? Identity fraud bad. Your mother's been talking to Kyle on speakerphone when she thought I was asleep. They're going to use your credit card information to book him a ticket. My blood went cold. How would they even get my card info? Ashley took a photo of your credit card last month when you left your wallet on the counter during Sunday dinner. I saw her do it, but didn't think anything of it. And Carol knows about this. She's the one who told Ashley to do it. They've been planning this for weeks. They figure once they book it, you'll just accept it rather than cause drama. I felt sick. That's credit card fraud. That's identity theft. I know. That's why I'm telling you. This crosses a line I can't ignore, even if it cost me my marriage. His hands were shaking. They're willing to commit crimes to get what they want, and they're using my cancer to justify it. What do you want me to do? Stop them however you need to. I'll back you up completely. I'm done protecting people who would do this to you. I spent the next hour on the phone. First, my credit card company. The rep was sympathetic. Sir, I can freeze this card and issue you a new number immediately. Any attempted charges on the old number will decline. Do it. And flag the account for fraud monitoring. Absolutely. If anyone tries to dispute a decline charge, we'll have this on record. New card shipped overnight. Old card froze instantly. Then, the airline. Explained someone had my card info. We can add security notes to your reservation, the agent said. Any changes or additions will require in-person verification with photo ID and the physical card matching our records. I gave them the new card number I'd be receiving. Any bookings on the old number wouldn't process. The next morning, I got a declined transaction alert at 9:47 a.m. Someone tried charging $8,400 to the airline. Dead card. Automatic rejection. I called the fraud department. That's the attempt I warned you about yesterday. Case number FR28473992. We see it. Declined. Would you like to pursue this legally? Absolutely. I drove straight to the police station. Sat down with a detective and laid out everything. Robert's warning, the photographed card, the fraud alert case numbers, the attempted charge. The detective, a woman in her 40s, looked genuinely angry on my behalf. So, your family tried to steal your credit card information to book a ticket for your sister's boyfriend while your father's dying of cancer. That's the situation? That's the situation. And my father is willing to testify to what he heard. He'll give you a written statement. She made copies of everything. I signed a sworn statement, gave her screenshots, the declined transaction record. Under Tennessee law, this is fraudulent use of identifying information and attempted credit card abuse. I'll need to contact the airline, document the attempted booking, get your father's statement. Building a solid case takes time. How long are we talking? Weeks at minimum. Their flight's in 4 weeks. She looked at me. When's yours? Same day, different time. Mine's at 6 p.m., theirs is 6 a.m. I'll work this as fast as possible. We need enough for arrest warrants. If I can coordinate with BNA Airport Police, we can execute warrants when they arrive for their flight. That's the cleanest way to do this. I spent the next few weeks following up. The airline confirmed someone had called, pretending to be me, tried booking with the old card number, got declined. Robert gave his written statement about overhearing their planning. The detective built her case with bank records and call logs. 5 days before the flight, she called. We've got enough for arrest warrants. Judge signed off this morning. I've coordinated with BNA Airport Police. They'll execute the warrants when your family arrives at check-in. Robert moved in with me that week. He told Carol he needed to be closer to his doctor for some tests. She didn't question it. Too busy preparing for her stolen vacation. Their flight was scheduled for 6 a.m., which meant they needed to be at BNA by 4 a.m. for international check-in. Mine was 6 p.m. that same day. I wasn't there. Didn't need to be. The detective called me at 5:47 a.m. We got them. Airport police executed the warrants at check-in. They're in custody. Here's what I learned later from the police report. They arrived at 4:15 a.m. dressed for a beach resort. Norway was heading into winter. Ashley in a sundress, Carol in linen pants, Kyle in shorts, carrying expensive luggage. Ashley already filming airport vibes for Instagram. They got to the airline counter. 2 BNA airport police officers approached. Are you Mrs. Matthews and Ashley Matthews? Carol's face went confused. Yes. What's this about? Ma'am, we have warrants for your arrest. You need to come with us. What? There must be some mistake. No mistake, ma'am. You're under arrest for fraudulent use of identifying information and attempted credit card abuse. You have the right to remain silent. That's when Carol started screaming. This is my son. He's trying to ruin his dying father's last trip. He's heartless. My husband has cancer. Ma'am, your husband filed a statement confirming your plan to commit fraud. He's the one who reported you. Dead silence. Kyle tried to back away. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a passenger. Sir, we have a warrant for you, too. You participated in planning the fraudulent purchase. You're under arrest. The handcuffs came out. Ashley was crying. You can't do this. We have a flight. We're supposed to be in Norway. You're supposed to be in county jail. You attempted identity theft. The reality started hitting. Their tickets were real. I'd paid for them months ago. But warrants meant no flying anywhere. They were processed, photographed, fingerprinted. Kyle called his dad from county. Ashley called a friend who showed up 3 hours later with bail money. Carol called a relative. The charges were filed. Fraudulent use of identifying information. Attempted credit card abuse. Conspiracy. 1 count each for Carol and Ashley. 2 for Kyle because he made the impersonation call, plus conspiracy. Robert and I boarded our flight to Oslo that evening. The trip was everything Robert had dreamed about. Bergen hit different when you're watching mountains through the window with your dying father next to you tearing up. Geirangerfjord was the big one. A 3-hour drive through the fjords, valleys so deep they stayed in shadow most of the day. When Robert saw the Seven Sisters waterfalls for the first time, he just stood there crying. I never thought I'd actually see it, he said. We took the cruise through the fjord. Waterfalls, cliffs, seals on rocks. Robert took 300 photos. Didn't talk much, just absorbed everything. Your mother would have complained about the cold, he said at one point. Ashley would have been on her phone the whole time. Kyle would have tried to make it about his brand. I'm glad it's just us. Some days, Robert wasn't feeling great. The cancer, the travel, the altitude. We'd order room service, watch documentaries, just talk. I'm sorry I waited so long to stand up to your mother, he said one night. You stood up when it mattered. I should have done it years ago. The favoritism, the way she treated you. I let it happen because it was easier than fighting her. He paused. I'm proud of you for everything. For taking care of yourself when we didn't. For having the spine to prosecute them. For bringing me here. Our last morning. We were having breakfast overlooking a lake. Robert's phone buzzed. Carol, from county. Please, we need bail money. We're your family. Please don't abandon us. Robert put his phone face down. She made her choices. We flew home 10 days later. Robert was exhausted, but happier than I'd seen him in years. The criminal case took months. The public defender tried to negotiate. The prosecutor offered a deal. Deferred adjudication for Carol and Ashley. Restitution, no contact, and confinement as a condition. Kyle didn't get the same mercy because he had a record and he was the one who made the "I'm totally her son" phone call to the airline. Carol refused initially, thought a family dispute was a legal defense. Kyle's dad hired him a private attorney who tried to claim Kyle was manipulated. Didn't know it was illegal. The phone records and Robert's statement about Kyle making the impersonation call killed that defense. During all this, they harassed me through intermediaries, friends and relatives calling about destroying the family, long social media messages about overreacting. I forwarded everything to the detective. Keep it coming. Every indirect contact helps the case. Robert started treatment. Aggressive chemo and radiation. He was sick a lot, lost weight, lost hair, but he never complained. And when relatives tried calling him to pressure dropping charges, he blocked them. I told the prosecutor I'm willing to testify if it goes to trial, he said after a rough chemo session. They need to hear what they planned, how they used my cancer to justify it. The case dragged for months. Carol tried to play chicken with the plea deal. She kept calling it a family misunderstanding. Then her lawyer laid it out. Robert's sworn statement, the declined attempt, the airline call logs, the fraud notes, the whole paper trail. The deal on the table was the best outcome she was going to see. So they pled. No contest for Carol and Ashley. Deferred adjudication. Kyle pled too, but the judge treated him like the adult he pretended to be. Sentencing was fast after that. Carol got deferred adjudication, community supervision with 90 days locked up as a condition, plus full restitution for all documented expenses, about $12,000 total, and a 5-year no-contact order. Ashley got the same terms with 60 days locked up. Kyle got straight jail time, 12 months, plus probation afterward. The judge wasn't sympathetic. You don't get to use someone's terminal illness as a discount code for committing fraud. The jail time reflects that this was calculated, not a mistake. Robert and I walked out together. He was using a cane, still weak, but alive. "How do you feel?" I asked. "Lighter," he said, "like I finally cut loose a weight I'd been carrying for 30 years. I still sued them for the back rent and damages. $15,000 in unpaid rent, plus legal costs, plus damages, filed while they were awaiting sentencing. Their attorney tried to dismiss it. The criminal case covers this. My attorney shut it down. The criminal case addresses fraud and identity theft. This addresses years of unpaid rent. Separate issues. The civil trial was faster. I had 4 years of documentation. The judge ruled in my favor. $15,000 in back rent, $8,000 in legal fees, $5,000 in damages. Total $28,000. They filed for bankruptcy after serving their jail time. My lawyer objected to discharge on fraud grounds. The criminal restitution stuck. Some of the civil judgment got wiped, but I'd already put liens where I could. Any tax refunds or legitimate paychecks get clipped. The chemo worked better than anyone expected. 6 months after sentencing, Robert's latest scans showed the tumor had shrunk enough for surgery. They did a Whipple procedure, brutal surgery, months of recovery. Post-op scans showed no visible tumor. The oncologist was cautiously optimistic. We call this no evidence of disease, not cured. Pancreatic cancer is too aggressive for that word. But this is the best outcome we could have hoped for. Robert cried when she told him. I thought I'd be dead by now. You responded better than we hoped. Early detection, aggressive treatment, and honestly, your attitude probably helped. You're not out of the woods, but you've got real time. He moved into a small apartment near me. Refused to reconcile with Carol even after she completed her jail time. He filed for divorce while she was serving her sentence. Had the papers served at the facility. She fought it. Claimed abandonment. Claimed he was incompetent from treatment. Claimed I'd manipulated him. Robert's attorney presented his medical record showing competency, his statements in the criminal case showing clear decision-making, and his written declaration. My wife attempted felony fraud against my son while using my diagnosis as justification. She's shown no genuine remorse. I don't want to spend whatever time I have left legally bound to someone who would do that. The divorce went through. Community property state, but Robert had documentation showing she'd contributed nothing financially for years. She walked away with her debt, her record, and her candle business. Ashley got out after serving her time. Moved to Arkansas to live with a friend. Works retail now. Her Instagram went private. Kyle's went dark. Carol tried reaching out after completing her sentence. Emails about reconciliation, about family, about lessons learned. Robert blocked her. I blocked her. We have family dinners now. Me, Robert, my uncle, my grandmother. The people who didn't enable Carol's behavior, who cut her off after learning about the fraud. Thanksgiving that year was at my place. Robert looked good. Still thin, tired easily, but alive. Hair growing back, gray. We talked about his scans, travel plans if he stayed healthy, normal things. My uncle mentioned Carol once. She called asking if he'd seen Robert, wanted to know if he'd forgive her if she apologized the right way. Robert didn't look up. There's no right way to apologize for what she did, and forgiveness isn't owed just because someone feels bad about consequences. We moved on. About 18 months after sentencing, I was leaving my office around 6 p.m. when I saw Carol's SUV in the parking lot. She was leaning against it. Ashley was in the passenger seat. My first instinct was to call the police. They had a no-contact order as part of their probation, but technically this was a public parking lot and they weren't approaching me yet. I walked toward my truck. Carol pushed off the car. "Please, just 5 minutes. I'm begging you." I stopped about 15 feet away, kept my keys in my hand. "You're violating your probation by being here." "I'm not approaching you. I'm just talking. Please, just listen." Ashley got out of the car. She looked rough, hair pulled back, no makeup, wearing a uniform from some craft store chain. The Instagram girl was gone. "We're losing everything," Carol said, her voice cracked. "The probation, restitution payments, and supervision fees take most of my paycheck. I can barely afford rent. Ashley's living in a one-bedroom with 2 roommates. We can't get decent jobs with our records. We're drowning. That's what happens when you commit felonies. We made a mistake." Ashley's voice went up, desperate. "One mistake and you destroyed our entire lives. Do you have any idea what jail was like? What it's like trying to find work with a record? I can't even get promoted to shift lead because of the background check. You didn't make a mistake. You planned fraud for weeks. You photographed my credit card. You tried to steal my identity. Those were choices." Carol stepped closer. I held up my hand. "That's close enough." She stopped, eyes red. "Your father is poisoning you against us. He's turned you into someone cold. Someone who'd watch his own mother suffer. Robert didn't turn me into anything. He just stopped protecting you from consequences. We're family." Carol's voice broke completely now. Full crying. "We raised you. We gave you everything. And you repay us by putting us in jail, by taking everything from us. You gave Ashley everything. I got community college and plasma donations. That's not fair. You paid for her lawyer while I was selling blood for textbooks. Don't talk to me about fair." Ashley was crying now, too. "I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry we tried to use your card. I'm sorry about Kyle. I'm sorry about all of it. Please. We're begging you. Drop the restitution. Talk to your lawyer. We can't live like this. The restitution isn't optional. It's court-ordered. I couldn't drop it if I wanted to. You could talk to them." Carol pressed. "You could tell them we've suffered enough, that we've learned our lesson. Please. I'm your mother. I'm begging you." I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who'd favored Ashley my entire life, who'd guilt-tripped me for asking for basic fairness, who'd planned to commit crimes against me and called it family. No. You used Robert's cancer to justify stealing from me. You committed identity fraud. You tried to scam your way onto a trip I paid for so Robert could see something before he died. And when you got caught, you blamed me for overreacting. You've never once actually apologized for what you did, just for getting caught. I'm apologizing now." Carol's hands were shaking. "I'm standing here begging. What more do you want? I don't want anything from you. I want you to leave me alone and pay your debt." Ashley tried a different angle. "What about Robert? Don't you think he'd want us to reconcile? He's doing well now. He beat it. Don't you think he'd want his family back together? Robert divorced Carol while she was in jail. He gave a sworn statement against all of you. He wants nothing to do with you. Stop using him as a prop. He was manipulated. He was sick of being married to someone who'd commit felonies and blame everyone else. Best decision he ever made. Carol's face changed then. The desperation shifted into something uglier. You're just like him. Cold, unforgiving. You'll end up alone. I'm not alone. I've got Robert. I've got the family members who didn't commit crimes. I've got a life that doesn't include people who steal from me. I walked past them to my truck. Carol grabbed my arm. I stopped. Don't touch me. She let go immediately. Hands up. Please, please. We have nothing left. No money, no prospects, no family. You took everything from us. I didn't take anything. The court did. After you committed crimes. This is on you. I got in my truck, started the engine, rolled down the window just enough to be heard. You're the woman who raised me to believe family meant something, then proved it didn't when you committed fraud against your own son. That's what you mean to me. I drove away, watched them in the rearview mirror. Carol collapsed against the car, Ashley holding her up. My phone started blowing up 20 minutes later. Text from Ashley's number, "You're heartless. We lost everything and you don't even care. Robert would be ashamed of who you've become." I forwarded them all to my lawyer. He called me 30 minutes later. They violated their probation by contacting you. I can file a report if you want. Will it extend their probation? Probably. Might add supervised probation requirements. Possible short jail time for violation. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Do it. They both got called in for probation violations. Carol got her probation extended by a year with monthly check-ins. Ashley got the same, plus 30 days locked up for multiple contact attempts. Robert and I had dinner the night I found out. I told him, they ambushed me in a parking lot. Full begging, crying, the whole performance. What did you say? No, he nodded slowly. Good. They don't want forgiveness. They want consequences to disappear. Those aren't the same thing. Carol said you'd want us to reconcile. Robert laughed. Actually laughed. I gave a sworn statement against them in the criminal case. I divorced her from jail. What part of that suggests I want reconciliation? What would you have done?